Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas stocking. Just the easiest one in the world. Here are some examples up here of the ones that we have done in class. Alright, so this should be pretty easy. Alright. This is my pattern piece. It's like a Christmas stocking. And what you can do is you can print one out from the internet. Just go to, search for Christmas stocking outline. Print it off, and then you can go outside of it and make it bigger by tracing it. You can also pick up a pattern, just an inexpensive pattern, and get it out, and it should look like this pattern piece. If it's not as big as you want it, you can get some freezer paper, seriously, and pull it out and trace your stocking, and then go around it again and trace it like a couple of inches bigger all the way around, and you can make a bigger stocking. What I found out is some of the patterns and the envelopes that you purchase are small patterns and they're not large, and so you may want to trace them and make them bigger, what I did. Alright, but you can read that. Cut 2 of the fabric, okay, cut 2 of the lining, and cut 2 of the batting. Okay, well, let me tell you what those things are, and then you'll need some thread and pins. Well, this is going to be my lining, so I need 2 pieces, and that's going to be the outside, so I need 2 pieces. And then there's some batting over here. This is what you would do. It's not stuffing, it's what you would put in between quilts. And they have low loft batting, which is easier to sew on for this. And then they have fusible fleece. You can use that. You can use craft batting. Any of those will work for a Christmas stocking, because you don't want it big poofy, too poofy. So whenever you get your fabric and lay it out, I'm going to show you this. I've used most of my fabric on this, so I don't have a large piece, so there's not much left. But whenever you have your fabric and it's on the bolt and you bring it home, open it up all the way and only pull it forward as much as you need it to lay out your pattern. Okay, so I've done that, and then I pinned it on, and then I cut it out. So I've done that, and we've got our pieces over here. Next, you cut out your lining, and then you cut out 2 pieces of batting. Now you have to make sure, especially if you're making a solid color stocking, that you have mirror images of one another. They have to be mirror images, so when you sew it back right sides together, then they'll match up. Okay? So what you do first, number 1, cut it out. Number 2, put the batting on the back of your outside fabric. The fabric that you want on the outside showing, you put the batting on the outside, and then you sew around it. You can probably see a little stitch right around here. Okay, around the whole outside of that stocking. Now this is called a basting stitch. It will not show when you're finished as long as you sew really, really close to the edge. Alright, so I've done it on that one. Now I've pinned it over here. Now we're going to go back to the sewing machine for a second. And I realize I'm out of my bobbin. Huh. Let me get this. Whenever you put a bobbin in, always remember that it's counterclockwise over the top, going over to the left. Alright, so let me put this bobbin in real quick. Alright, so I'm going to get my piece that I have pinned around. Alright, now it doesn't matter if my batting kind of sticking off the edge. It is okay, because we can cut that off in a minute. So we're just going to sew really close to the edge. Now when you get to the triangles are there just to match it up when I put this piece with the other piece. And so I'm just going to ignore that and kind of follow the outline of the stocking. Remember, it just has to be really close to that edge. And if you're new with this, do not go this fast. It's better to be right than fast. another triangle. So I'm just going to follow the outline of the stocking, not the triangle, because I'll be cutting that off in a minute. And yes, you will sew the top, because right now it's not the inside of the stocking. This is just to put the batting on the back of it. And I always back stitch at the beginning and the end. Roll up, cut her off, put your thread between the presser foot to the back. Alright, so now I've sewn around both of these. Alright, I'll put the lining off to the side. Okay. Take the rest of the pins out. Move this piece. I'm going to cut off the extra batting. Okay, got it kind of cleaned up a little bit. Now I'm going to take the outside piece and the other outside piece, and I'm going to match up those triangles. Okay, and I'm going to pin back around it. And pin the top corner and just kind of work my way around. Matching up your toes. Now this time I'm going to sew a little more than 5/8 inch around. On your sewing machine there's a little mark that has the 5/8 marks, and then there's one right beside it that has a little 2, where we're going to line it up on the 2, because sometimes this batting is hard to see what you're doing, and so we're just going to make sure that we really get. So now we've got the stocking. So we'll take this, batting is on the outside, pretty sides are on the inside. Okay, I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to put this down. Now on the sewing machine right here, see if I can get it close. It's hard to see. There's a 2 right there. So I'm going to hit it right on that 2, starting at the very top of my fabric, lined up on that 2. You can also get this little thing called, it's like a seam allowance guide. You can actually, it's magnetic, you can put that down, and that way your fabric hits right up against that, and you won't be, it's kind of hard to see sometimes, those little bitty lines. So you can put that down. Alright, I'm going to back stitch, because I did start at the top. Keeping that right up against that edge of that. Now I'm going to get over here where the triangles are. I'm going to ignore the triangles. I mean, in fact, after you pin it, you're welcome to cut those off because you've already matched them up at that point. And just going to follow it around, keeping it even with the 2, the guide here. And you'll notice the stitch that you're doing now is a little bit to the left of your stitch that you have. And it should be pretty even all the way around. There's a pin here, I forgot. And there's one here I can take out. That triangle, so you should ignore that and sew right over. All the way to the top, back stitch when you get to the top, and then sew off your edge. Roll your needle up, pull it out, cut your threads, tuck it back between the presser foot. Alright, now let's get back over here. Alright, so now I've sewn pretty much all the way, I've sewn all the way around, and it's pretty even all the way around. Now, cut off any triangles that we have here. Don't need those anymore. Now, we want it to lay flat when we turn it right side out. So I'm going to clip my curves. So let's clip, clip. You're just making little cuts. You can see that. Okay, and so when they pull apart, they'll lay flat. But you don't, make sure you don't cut that inner seam, because then you have to re-sew it. So I'm just making little cuts almost to that line. Don't cut yourself. So what I've done is cut out the stocking. I've put the batting on the back of it. I've sewn it around the batting. Then I put right sides together. And I've then clipped my curves. Okay? So now I can reach in and turn it right side out. And you can iron it when you're all the way finished. Make sure. Now, however you've sewn it, like that, the curves that you've sewn, that's what it's going to look like on the outside when you're finished. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, so now this is the point you can decide if you want some lace at the top or something. If you're doing something with like a ruffly lace at the top, you can pull it down like a couple inches. But this lace right here that I have, okay, this lace, it has a little edge at the top. So you can just put it even with the top. Now, you always want to start on the back of the stocking. You want it to overlap on the back, not on the front, where you can kind of see it. I always do it on the heel. Alright, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to see how much I need to go around this. So I'm going to go like this, and kind of wrap it around the stocking and see how much I need. So I need about that much, plus a little bit to overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Alright, so you can pin it all the way around, or you can do what I do. I'm going to take the free arm off. Now, little bitty stockings, like little tiny stockings, before, when you got to the point of having the batting put on the outside fabric, before you sewn it together, the two pieces together to make the stocking, you would put the lace on it on each side first, just at the top, just like this, but one side at a time. Like this side, just sew across it, and the other side, sew across it. And then you have to make sure they line up, but you couldn't be able to get, look, like your stocking on your sewing machine like this. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to sew just at the top of that lace. About a quarter, less than about an eighth of an inch down. I'm going to put my needle down, I'm going to back stitch, just a little bit. Keeping my lace even with the top. And just keep putting it at the top. Go around. Put it at the top. Now if they don't match up exactly, kind of just make it match, you know, to the next thing, and you can kind of pull them up a little bit. Right here, match them up. This is also just a basting stitch, one that you won't see because we're going to sew the two parts together in a minute. Now you'd be pretty much finished, except for the fact that your inside is batting and not pretty. So when you get to the end, I'm going to take this little piece right here, I'm going to fold it under, and then kind of match up my little design here at the bottom. Make sure it's not at any kind of weird diagonal. Go all the way over to the end and back stitch. Then I'll pick my presser foot up, pull the stocking kind of off, and then I'm going to go, make sure you don't get to catch the back. You can put it straight down, and I'm going to go down the edge of that lace a little bit. And roll her up, pull her out, cut her off, take that back under. And there you have the top of your stocking. But the inside's not pretty yet, so let's talk about our lining. Okay, now lining, we've just cut out two mirror images, and we've sewn around it just like we did the other piece, but this time with no batting. So I've sewn all the way around it, but look here. You see that? I don't know if you can or not. I did not sew. I stopped right here, so went from the top right here, and then I left an opening, and then I started back. Okay, so I sewed all the way around it, kind of done this. Back stitch here, back stitch, stop. Here's an opening. Start back right here, and I sewed all the way around it and back stitch at the end. Now why I've done that is because we're going to sew the top together in a minute, but we'll need a place to turn it right side out. I've also already clipped the curves. Okay, so now where's the right side of this? In here. The right side is inside. Where's the right side? Here on the outside. So we're going to put right sides together. We're going to put this inside this other stocking. You kind of shake it on down like you do a pillow. Now you want to make sure you match up this seam right here with the back one. Now, you remember you have lace. You don't want to sew too far down now because you don't want to take up all the lace. We're going to sew close to the top, but not so close that we miss part of it. And then you match up the other seam. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be the lining, and most of it's going to be turned inside. Okay, now we're going to match up the top here and kind of stretch it out. Now, say that when you stretch it out, it doesn't match exactly. This one we can kind of stretch out. If the lining is too big, you could go back and take it up just a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to take that one up just a tiny baby bit more. Just on the lining though. Okay, so see what I did? I just went in just a tiny bit more. And then I can match it up. Now, at this point, you want to get the loop about 8 to 10 inches. Your loop for hanging. Okay? And then cut that, because I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. Alright, our loop needs to be on the outside when we turn it right side out. So we're going to take this and we're going to put this together. Now, whatever size loop you do, if you're doing several, make sure you cut all the loops the same size. Alright, so I'm going to open up this back seam right here. And I'm going to tuck that in here like that. I'll have to do one more thing to that when we come back. But I put that right there at the back of it. Okay? Now, the ends are here and the pretty side is inside because when we turn it right side out, we want the loop to be on the pretty side. Okay? Alright, so we'll take this back over here. Alright, I don't need that right now. Alright, so I'm going to take this, slide it over. I like starting from the back. Okay, we're right on that 2 again, just a little. Actually, I'm going to pull it up to 5/8 inch. Right, what 5/8 inch is it's almost like if the needle's in the center, you have just a tiny bit of fabric peeking out right past that presser foot because there's a 5/8 inch line right there. So I'm going to put it down, back stitch. If the needles or the pins are sideways, you can kind of sew over them. As long as you're careful. Look at that. See? Except when they're that way, you cannot do it that way. And just kind of keep pulling it around right here. Keep pulling it around. Okay. And back stitch when you get back around. Alright, roll my needle up, cut it off. Okay. Alright, get back over here. Alright, there's our stocking. Now, let's reach in this little hole right here. And we're going to pull our stocking out. Okay, now we're going to reach over here and pull our lining out. Okay. Now we've got this little opening, and it will be inside the stocking, so we can actually fold that in, get rid of all the frayed edges. You can iron it if you'd like to get a really smooth edge. Actually, I encourage ironing. So there's the end of that. Here's the end of that. Alright, so there's where I'm going to sew. All those little raw edges in. Okay. Put this under. I'm going to sew really close to the edge. Needle down, back stitch. Alright, so now we have this. Now the opening's shut. Now we're going to take our lining and stuff it in. Okay, now let's work on the top. Take this and pull the lace out. Now you can have just the lace showing like that. But I like sometimes to have a little bit of that lining sticking out, like a little edge. Because there's a seam there. You can have it so pretty, a little top edge. Okay, but now, hold on, my lining's not exactly right in there. There we go. Alright. So now I can take this and getting this top edge completely even. So you just kind of put up some pins in there. And there's a little where the seam comes together right here. And you can stitch in this little seam right there. It's called stitching in the ditch. Okay. Now we've got this little hangy, so I'm going to push this to the up position, so when we stitch in the ditch we'll catch it too. Or you can top stitch it, which would mean just sewing on the top of this area right here, at the top on the lining. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here. Now you can choose different lace too. You can choose cotton lace, you could do burlap, all kinds of things. This is just what I had available so I could show you guys. Alright, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to top stitch instead of just in the ditch. I'm going to pull this in the up position. And just keep pulling this around. That way the lining will kind of be set in there, won't keep moving, you won't keep having to readjust the top. Back stitch. Take her out. And this time I'm going to cut the threads more carefully because they'll show. Alright, let's look at it. You can take an iron to this and lay it all flat and pretty. You've officially gotten yourself a Christmas stocking. And that's it.